So good
Okay.
morning. Alex, you
Good
saying a few words?
morning. Let's see.
Okay,
Ms.
so good
Young.
morning, Alex, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to your class about the Green Business Partnership. We are so excited that the college has joined the partnership, and now we get to work with you and your students to get SUNY ESF certified. We also discuss future opportunities to train students to go out into the field to help local businesses go green. So this is a terrific, trailblazing opportunity for all of us. Okay, so I'm going to begin with this introduction and a great opportunity to go through our program with you. So this is the team. I'm Danny Glazer. I am a program director of the Green Business Partnership, along with my partner, Scott Fernquist, who is also on the call. You will also hear today from Yana Petrikova, the program manager, Nicole Vergona, and Ethan Kravitz is on the call too, and they are both the Green Business Associates. So this is our team. We will be in touch with you and available to you throughout the process. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background on the program. You'll see 2008, the County of Westchester put together a climate action plan for sustainable development. And the business sector was a focus. It was a multi-sector approach, and the business sector was a focus of that study. And the Green Business Partnership, which had been known by many earlier names, but that is the name now, was born out of that study. So the founding partners since 2009 have been the Business Council of Westchester, which is Westchester County's large countywide chamber of commerce, Westchester County government, and my company, Green Team Spirit. We also have a new partner, an association partner, the New York Library Association. There are 33 libraries in New York State that are now members of our program, from Albany to Saratoga to down here in Westchester, and that community is growing. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we have been supported through sponsors from the very beginning. Con Edison was a founding sponsor. They're our utility down here. And so they've been a platinum level sponsor since the beginning. NYSERDA awarded our program with a $540,000 grant back in 2014. And that has really given us the wings to grow and to hire staff and develop the web platform that you're going to see today. So that was a great boost to the program. And you can see many other of our sponsors here, and the majority of the sponsors on this slide are also certified members of the program, so they're all walking the walk. So this is the, and we're going to take you live onto the website, but we created this brand new web platform. We're so excited to introduce it to you. So just a couple of slides from the platform, and this is on our join page. Get started, get sustainable by heading over to this website, and there's a whole program and dashboard, and the program helps companies reduce their impact on the environment, save money and build their business, get certified, and get recognized. We're really good at recognizing companies for the great work that they've done. So why go green? Our team has been at this for 10 years. So we've been through a whole long learning process and growth process. And we are we have an excellent reputation in Westchester County, which is, others outside of the county are really starting to know who we are. And we have a great program that is very metric based and also very behavioral based. So, and our members, as you can see from this quote from Jim Diamond, a large property owner in the county, really have been delighted to work with us. So we're going to take you through how it works when we go through the dashboard, but it is pretty straightforward. A company goes on and joins through the dashboard, the program, then they get their company dashboard that's customized. And then they put together and send out their employee survey, go through a green action list, and complete a greenhouse gas emissions inventory. Once they submit all of that information to our team and we verify and review, then they will submit a final presentation, which is a great way to put their, shining and best foot forward to show what they have done. Typically, that is a PowerPoint that will be up on Google Slides. And then the company will achieve a certification. With that comes certificates and decals and recognition ceremonies and all good stuff. So the pricing of the program, it is a membership program, so there is an annual fee, and it's based on the number of full-time employees. And we've put in a really big incentive for a company to become certified in the first year, which is a 50% price drop. So we are dedicated to getting you and to getting all of our companies certified within the first year. And we're open to every single type of business in New York State, with the exception of home-based businesses, and we're not working with K-12 schools. So I'm going to show you, and you can also spend some time on our website, but we have 4 slides that show all of our members. The ones that are in green have achieved certification. So if you do go on our website and you click on any of the green names, then that will take you to their final presentation. But what's interesting is that we're really across every single kind of industry, every single size of company. So the diversity is something that we really are very proud of, and it's very cool to see, hospitals talking to libraries, talking to ice cream stores, and the common denominator being environmental sustainability. The Greenberg Nature Center, we do have Rachel Carpatella on the line here today. Also, Rachel will be working with you on the next round when it comes to training students on the program and taking the deeper dive. Yonkers Tennis Center was one of our newest. That was very fun to certify them. So here are the beautiful logos of the companies that have achieved certification, and we're hoping to grow out of this slide very soon, and but it kind of looks great. So here are just a few things that our members are actually doing. So we have 7 categories that we emphasize in the program. So the first one is organizational commitment. And this just shows, some of our companies. One is showing their green team. I just mentioned the Greenberg Nature Center. They put together a comprehensive policy and training manual from Regeneron, an enormous corporation in Westchester County, where their CEO sent an email to all staff saying that how much they value this program and the importance of everybody on staff working on the program. Here are some examples of energy. We've got the big solar array, and Yana and I are standing on a rooftop for one of our companies, Diamond Properties. So, we have companies that have put in solar. We have companies that have switched out to LEDs, such as Montefiore Hospital. And we have this What's Going On is some signage from the USTA, who are recently certified, U.S. Tennis Association, not only talking about that they're switching to LEDs, but also explaining why that's important. So these are some best practices related to waste. We were influential of having New York Presbyterian Hospital discontinue styrofoam across their entire system, even though styrofoam is a lot cheaper. As probably all of us know, it is pretty toxic, and that was a really wonderful switch that they made. Montefiore Hospital has eco-digesters for food waste, so you can only think about all the food waste that happens in a hospital. It goes down into this system and it gets all crunched up and liquefied. The Blue Book Building Construction Network is I can't help my friends texting me. It's amazing. They do a big e-waste program and a composting program. And then there's a whole story behind Pell Wealth Partners. They made a simple communication to their landlord in a big office building that said, you know what, you guys, we're trying to recycle, but everything is being thrown in the trash by the janitorial staff. And that communication to the owner of the building ended up resulting in the owner communicating to janitorial staff, not only at that building, but all the buildings across their portfolio, and instituting a very robust recycling program. So, and just quickly, we have companies that have switched over to green products. These are reusable cartridges. This water fountain is the biggest no-brainer in the world. It just taps into your municipal water supply, filters the water, it eliminates the need for bottled water. This is actually on the SUNY Purchase campus. I don't know if you guys know Tom Kelly, but he is hooking up his electric car there. And Arc of Westchester they're actually winning a transportation award from us this year because their fleet is fuel efficient. They have now made the mapping and carpooling of to all their ancillary facilities as efficient as possible. Land use, this is showing how we have many of our members that are replacing grass with natural plantings and not requiring water. This is something that Rachel from the Greenberg Nature Center could go into a lot more deeply with you guys when it's time to get trained. And then we have companies that are also have a compost a pile in the back of the property, which is really cool. And for water, so I mean, a lot of it is about water conservation, and our companies put up signage about water conservation. However, we love Smiles on Hudson Dentistry. They chose a dry vacuum versus wet vacuum system, saving them 200,000 gallons of water per year. So that's really, those kinds of decisions can be very, very significant. And then quickly, we're very active. We have a Leaders in Sustainability speaker series 4 times a year at our local college. And we teach and bring in really wonderful presenters to speak on a variety of topics related to sustainability. We have members-only lunch and learns. We were going to be having one in a few weeks, training our members this time on using the dashboard. And we have started to make these lunch and learns available remotely. So if you're interested, we can definitely hook you guys in. We also hold industry forums. We think it's important as well to bring a whole industry together. These actually took place at Purchase College, but we have done these for higher education, for faith-based, for real estate, and all different kinds of industries. It's interesting to bring them all together to sort of compare best practices, share best practices amongst their own industry. So the internship training program is sort of how we met you guys. Alana was a trained intern through the program at the Greenberg Nature Center. And so she goes obviously to SUNY ESF, which is also Rachel Carpatella's alma mater. And but this program has just turned out to be a fabulous program. And these students are going into our companies and helping them to achieve certification. So this is sort of the start of the idea of us working with you on a similar kind of program. So I'm very excited about that. So we do certification ceremonies. So every time a company gets certified, we make a big deal out of it. And actually, we have one scheduled for this afternoon. And one of the reasons why it's not only great that the company gets awarded and we send out a newsletter and they get all this press, but we're also holding companies up who have achieved certification for everyone else, for those in their industry to say, wow, that company was able to do that, then, I'm going to follow in their best practices. And finally, we have this annual Green Business Awards ceremony. So you guys are certainly invited to jump on an electric bus and come down to visit us in Westchester on June 12th at our next event. Okay, so I'm going to get out of that. I'm just going to switch quickly to go over to the website. There's a couple of things I want to show you before Nicole jumps on. So I took you through in slide version a lot of what is already on this website, the members, the partners you saw. So the green services, I just want to show you, we have a green services directory that we are really just starting to build. But any company that is on here provides a green product or service. So Aris Energy Solutions actually provides wind energy services and products. So you can click and visit our website and feel free to speak to any of these companies who provide green products or services. We have a very robust about section that you can go through, but important for you to see that there is a presentation library here. So I just spoke about the Leaders in Sustainability speaker series. So you can go through and watch the videos and view the presentations on an entire array of topics. So we've only put them in since 2014, but there's a lot of information here that and great resources for you. Okay, the rest you can kind of go on. And then quickly, we now have a member forum. This is kind of fun. I was working on it this morning to figure it out, but this is a private section where members of the program can communicate with each other and ask each other questions. So, we've created some message boards, and, here, for example, there's a message board that says dashboard hints. And I actually copied something that Nicole had put together, helping companies figure out how to invite their green team onto their dashboard. So we're hoping that this forum is a useful place for members to go and to communicate with each other. There's a private messages section, so you guys could even set up your own private messaging board for your project. Okay, so at this point, I am going to turn this over to Nicole, who's going to take you to the dashboard. Let me just figure out how to do that. Sharing. I'm going to change presenter. There we go.
Okay. I'm going to just go through the dashboard portion of our website, which you guys can see if you choose to take on this project. I'll give instructions a little bit later on how to invite people to this dashboard. But this is your portal to get certified. So as you can see, the first section on our dashboard is the Get Certified section. So right here in this blue hyperlink is the steps to Green Business Partnership certification. And if you right click that, it'll lead you to a detailed guide on how to get certified. So simply just reviewing the 4 steps, your college will be sending out an employee and survey and an employee commuting survey. They'll be completing a green action list, a greenhouse gas inventory tool, and they'll be preparing and delivering a final presentation. So you can find more detail about each of those steps on this page right here. But going back to the dashboard, you can see the first, we break it down by section. So the first section is the staff and commuting surveys. So you can send that out by simply clicking on employee survey, commuting survey. That will take you to your individual SurveyMonkey links that you'll be sending out to ESF staff. To do that simply, you can use the template that we provide to you right here. You just simply put in your employee survey and commuting survey links, and then you also put in the name of your organization and the date you would like the staff to complete these by. So we're going to go back to the greenhouse gas emissions tool in a little bit. Yana will be presenting that to you guys, but since the second step to certification is the green action list, I would like to show you that portion first. So you can find the green action list right here with the 7 sectors to get certified. So if you want to enter the green action list to see what's required and not required, you can click on this button right here, Update Action Items. This will take you to, again, the 7 sections. organizational commitment, energy, waste and recycling, green purchasing, transportation, land use, and water. These are all sections that ESF will be assessing throughout their certification process. So just to see what's in one of these sections, you can just click on them right here. Organizational commitment. Every required action has required right before it. Every section has, every action has a, so that you can be as detailed as section possible throughout your process, so that we can see that as well. And then there's also hyperlinks that can give you advice or lead you to resources to complete that action. So here's an example of our environmental policy template, which for each section, it starts with a policy. So you'll be giving ESF's policy on all of these 7 sections, and then it is followed by actions to uphold this policy, and then the last action is performance, and that has to do with the greenhouse gas inventory tool. So let's go back to the dashboard and the greenhouse gas inventory tool, which I'm going to be passing over to Yana.
Thank you, Nicole, and good morning, everyone. So this is what the greenhouse gas emissions tool looks like. Actually, let me go back to the first page. So this is Hendrik Hudson Free Library example. They gave us a permission to show their greenhouse gas emissions tool. So on your dashboard, you have greenhouse gas emissions inventory tool, and there's a link to continue your inventory. As you can see, there are 5 years available right now. So the way we collect the data for the greenhouse gas emissions is by calendar year. So every company would input their data for the whole year. We have 5 years available, but for the certification, we only require 2 years. So a company can choose to go back more than 2 years if they want to compare their data and see the progress. But we recognize that it might be difficult to collect so many years of data. So right now, if companies...
Yana?
Yes.
Yana, it's a little hard to hear you. I don't know if you're talking straight into the phone or the computer, just to let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is. Thanks. Okay.
Okay. So right now, if a company wants to get certified, they would collect 2016 and 17 data. The reason why 2018 is not available yet is that, as I said, we collect data for the whole calendar year. And another reason is that all the data in the greenhouse gas emissions tool is weather normalized. So we look at the weather data for a particular year. We look at heating and cooling days for that year, and we normalize the data, the heating and cooling data for the energy. So when you look at your summary and you compare your years, in the heating, you will not see more heat, more energy used for heat because of the weather. We try to clean that data so the weather impact is not visible. And the way we do it is we look at heating and cooling days in that particular year and compare it to a 15-year average for that location. And we look at those data, the weather data per county in New York State. So every county might have different weather patterns. So for 2018, we'll wait until January 2019 when we have all the data available, and we will make that tool available for the members. So to go to the tool, you will click on the Continue Inventory. I will go to 2016 to show you some data that they have in there. so you can go back into any of those years and continue your work. So this is what the tool looks like. As Danny already talked to you about, we have different categories that we track data for, and that's the same for the greenhouse gas emissions tool. So the first section is introduction. It just tells you that the tool is based on Greenhouse Gas Protocol and United States Environmental Protection Agency guidelines. And we collect data such as cost, usage, and activity data. We ask companies to put in square footage and number of employees, and I will show you why we need these numbers. And then you can go to your next section, or you can just navigate through the top menu through different sections. So we have energy, we have transportation, waste, water, refrigerants, green purchasing, and summary is comparison of all those years that you put in. So if a company has 5 years of data, they can compare year by year all the data. So going to the energy section, this calculates greenhouse gas emissions from different types of energy used for heating, cooling the buildings, and using equipment in a building. So every company will have purchased electricity, and then they might be heating their building by natural gas, heating oil, or propane. So those are the options in the drop-down menu. The Henry Gutson Library has purchased electricity and natural gas. They put in their fuel consumed in kilowatt hours for purchased electricity, and the tool calculates the metric tons of CO2 equivalent. Now, the total emissions are here. Now, I don't go into too much detail how the calculation works for companies, but since you're students and you might be interested in how this actually works, I'm going to show you actually our old Excel tool, because this tool used to be in Excel and everyone could see the formulas. We want to be very transparent in how we calculate these emissions, and if you are anytime interested, just let me know. So basically, the equivalent in CO2 equivalent means that we do not only calculate CO2, but other two greenhouse gases, methane and nitrous oxide. So that's CH4 methane and N2O nitrous oxide. And the way they're incorporated with CO2 is through their global warming potential. Global warming potential is a relative measure of how much heat a greenhouse gas traps in the atmosphere. So it compares the amount of heat trapped by a certain mass of gas in question, so let's say methane, to the amount of heat trapped by a similar mass of carbon dioxide. So CH4, for example, has global warming potential 25. So it traps in the atmosphere 25 times more heat than CO2. And nitrous oxide has a greenhouse gas potential 298. So those are the numbers that we use to kind of translate the global warming potential of those gases, and so we get a final CO2 equivalent number that we track. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And so we calculate this number for all the greenhouse gas emissions in the tool. Again, this is for a calendar year, so they would put in whole year consumption in one number. And every section has a chart. So there will always be a pie chart that compares this data, so we can see how much purchased electricity is contributing to greenhouse gas emissions and how much they're heating. And that gives them an idea that, let's say, heating was a very small part, but purchased electricity was a really large part. So that gives them an idea where to focus their efforts in reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. here you can see it's kind of half and half, so they should focus on in both areas. The other metrics in this table are they put in not just their consumption but the cost, and so the tool also calculates the metric tons of CO2 equivalent per dollar. Also, you have a metric per square foot and per employee. So as you saw in the introduction section, they put in their square footage and their number of employees, so that's the reason why, and they can track their emissions per square foot. The reason to have this number is that, let's say, they expand their building, they build an addition to the library, and so their emissions will go up. And this metric will show them that emissions per square foot maybe went down, but the total emissions went up. So it gives them an idea, why are my emissions going up? It gives them more information to analyze their data. And also the emissions per employee, if the organization is growing, well, maybe they're using more electricity for some reason, because they have more employees use more equipment. So the metric tons of CO2 per employee might not be going up, but the total emissions might be going up. So those are just extra metrics to analyze. We have available for the energy also avoided greenhouse gas emissions section. So this is where you can put the renewable energy. And just to show you, there are some options to put in. You can add a new row and choose from your drop down. They might be generating their renewable purchase electricity from solar panels, which actually Henrik Hudson installed. And in 2017, they have some data already from their solar energy. They might be either purchasing it or generating on site, or they might be purchasing renewable energy credits. And so those are the options to put in your usage for those. And the final section is combined heat and power. This is when you generate your own electricity from natural gas on site, but you also harvest that heat to heat the building. But I will not go into too much detail in that, but it's explained in the description how to fill the combined heat and power section. So that was energy. Going on to next section, travel. Travel is divided into business travel, company fleet, and employee commuting. Business travel is travel that is that is done by vehicles that are not owned by the organization. So those would be rental vehicles, buses, public transportation. We have options for rail travel and as well as air travel to put in. And again, there are drop downs for the road travel. You can choose from passenger car, motorcycle, light duty truck, or bus. And we would track the miles traveled and cost. And again, the tool calculates the greenhouse gas emissions. One thing I wanted to mention, just in case you are wondering how the emissions are calculated, as I said, the tool is developed based on greenhouse gas protocol guidelines and EPA guidelines. And both of these organizations publish greenhouse gas emission factors. So they will tell you that for a passenger car, per mile traveled, how much CO2 is produced, or how much CO2 is produced by 1 kilowatt hour of purchased electricity. And so you can find those online, or if you're interested, we can provide you the sources. We did have them actually in our old Excel tool. And we have a whole section about supporting data and where the data is coming from. And so this is what the emission factors actually look like, and we use those in the calculations. So next section is company fleet, and this is different than business travel because this is for vehicles that are owned by the organization. And the assumption is that if an organization owns a vehicle, they have more information about that vehicle. And so these emissions are calculated a little more precisely. In business travel, we would just put in passenger car, but in fleet, we ask them, what type of a car is it? Is it a gasoline? Is it a diesel vehicle? What is the year? Is it the light-duty truck, heavy-duty truck? Is it an SUV? Is it a passenger car? And the assumption is that newer years have better emissions. In the future, we would like to incorporate electric vehicles as well. Right now, there's no place to put them in to the tool, but we want to add that this year. We also, for this section, ask about fuel used for the vehicle, miles traveled, and fuel economy of that car, and cost of fuel used as well. And so, again, you get the total emissions in metric tons of CO2 equivalent, and then metric tons of CO2 per mile and per dollar of the cost. And again, there will be chart generated as well. Employee commuting is tracking emissions of individual employees commuting to and from work. And this data is collected by a survey. We provide a survey link where the companies can gather this data from their employees. We understand that not all employees will answer the survey, and so we kind of extrapolate the data. So the library had all employees providing the data, but if only 20 employees provided the data, and there are 42 employees in the company, we will assume that those that didn't reply have similar commuting patterns, and we will extrapolate the data. So the total emissions number will then be for all the employees that are in the company. Next section is waste. In waste section, we collect data about mixed waste, which is your trash, mixed recyclables, so there will be mixed recycled paper and mixed recyclables such as plastics, glass, and aluminum. And then we have options also for yard waste and food waste, which is composting. The companies would put in the quantity in pounds, or they have an option for cubic yards and the total cost. The emissions here are negative numbers, and the reason is that the EPA calculates the emissions from waste as emission reductions. So they will not tell you what are the emissions from your trash, but they will tell you how much CO2 you saved by recycling as opposed to sending the trash to a landfill. That's why those are negative, because by recycling, you are reducing emissions as opposed to doing nothing. And so here are the charts. Again, they will be in negative numbers, but you want those negative numbers to be as large as possible. You want to recycle as much as you can. And you have here your emissions, and here's the volume in pounds of recycled material. Next section is water. In water, we do not calculate greenhouse gas emissions at all. We only track the volume of water, and we encourage organizations to, of course, decrease the amount of water used. The reason why there are no emissions from water, you could argue that water is, if it's a town water, it's cleaned and transported, and so there is some electricity used, but it's very hard to track, and it's very location dependent, and so EPA does not provide any emission factors for water. So it's basically not really possible to calculate those. So we don't do that. There is probably not a significant greenhouse gas effect from using water, but of course we want to conserve water. So we track the volume, and you have a chart here. There is option for town water, well water, and this would be gray water. So if a company decides to collect water, maybe from the roof or watering the grounds, they can measure that here. Refrigerant section is for using for logging your refrigerants. Those are used mostly in large commercial refrigeration or in air conditioning. And so refrigerants are greenhouse gases. And when you are using large commercial air conditioning, often that needs to be refilled with these gases, and so they leak over time and they contribute to the greenhouse gas effect. That's why we calculate them. A lot of organizations don't have any refrigerants. Mostly if they have those little air conditioning units in the windows, they would not have refrigerants. But large organizations that have those large commercial units on the roof, they will have refrigerants. And last section is green purchasing. Here we encourage organizations to track their inventory and whatever they buy. Of course, a lot of organizations buy a lot of stuff, so we want them to just start thinking about their purchasing behaviors. Maybe start with paper, some office supplies, some cleaning supplies. They don't have to put everything in, but the products that they buy the most often. And here, this should help you to compare your conventional product, how much you buy, how much it costs, and researching the green options. What is the green option? How much of that do we need to buy? Maybe we don't need to print everything, and maybe we can buy more expensive 100% recycled paper, but maybe we can buy, instead of 100 reams of paper a year, we can buy 50 because now we are double-sided printing. We're not printing everything. We're using more electronic sources. So this gives them a good option to compare different alternatives. Less expensive, but overall they might decide, well, we are going to accept 10% increase in cost if we buy green products. So there is no chart for this, of course, but this gives you an option to add many rows for different products, so you can go ahead and add another row. This is not filled out right now, but you can have 50, 100 rows for different products, and it would calculate your total cost and cost difference of the conventional and eco-friendly products. You can also click on these red circles and delete rows. So I'll just go ahead and do that for Henry Claxton Library. And the last section is summary section. This section is not yet finished completely. So I'm going to quickly show you our Excel tool and what that section looks like, because I want to briefly tell you about these categories of scope 1, 2, and 3 greenhouse gas emissions. This is how Greenhouse Gas Protocol categorizes greenhouse gas emissions. So we went through all those categories now, right? We talked about energy and travel, etc. So scope 1 emissions are all of your direct emissions. Those are emissions of energy burned on site. So that would be heating oil, natural gas, or gasoline in vehicles that are owned by the organization. The organization directly buys the fuel and burns it for their purposes. Now, scope 2 are indirect emissions. So that would be purchased electricity. The fuel that is used to generate the electricity is not burned on site. Its electricity is produced somewhere else and transported to the business. So those are indirect emissions. And scope 3 are other indirect emissions. that are not included in Scope 2, and those would be emissions from production of purchased materials, or as we talked about, the rental vehicles, if they are not owned directly by the organization, or business transportation emissions. Those will be indirect emissions for that organization. And so the summary gives you those Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions per year, and you can compare them. Also, the avoided emissions from renewable energy, as we talked about, and there were charts available, which they will be available on the website as well. We also compare the costs of all these different categories per year. And those metrics, like the emissions per dollar, or the emissions, or we have also the individual units. So you have units like kilowatt hours, gallons, total miles traveled, etc. So that's the summary, comparing all the years that are input into the tool so they can see progress. Hopefully the emissions will go down over time. So that is basically it for the greenhouse gas emissions tool. And I am going to share Nicole's screen again. So thank you very much.
Okay, hi everybody. Okay, so we just went over the greenhouse gas emissions inventory. Thank you, Yana, that was a great presentation. We reviewed the green action list, and the fourth and final step to certification is the final presentation. So the final presentation is a Google Slides of all of your hard work that you're about to do for ESF. And you can find a template for that final presentation in the steps to green business certification here. So you can download our template, edit it on your PowerPoint, upload it to Google Slides, and then share the link here with us. The reason we use Google Slides is that so that over the years you can keep updating it with your green initiatives. The last section of our dashboard is your team. So whatever students choose to take on this project, Alex, your teacher, will be inviting you to the dashboard through this section. And Alex, we can go over the steps to do that. But that's it for today. And we'll take any questions from here. Danny, do you want me to make you the presenter again?
Or be the presenter, but I'm on. And I mean, Alex, if you want to get on too, if there are any questions from any of the students or anything else that you guys need to chat with us about.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Maybe I'll just make some comments. Just things that I noticed, and then I'm hoping we have questions here on the floor. So one, thank you very much for going through the greenhouse gas inventory process. That is something that is important to environmental and energy auditing, something we sort of purposefully had not covered yet in class, and so I wanted students to get an idea of how that works. There's different tools to do so, and but you guys have a good, what seems like a very good and detailed online platform to do that. Yeah, one thing I like, or I noticed, similar to other, so compared, let's say, to LEED for buildings, or we at the university, we use STARS, is a tool to assess university sustainability. So generally every category starts with a policy and then also has quantitative metrics to see if you followed up on the policy. We have several of our students here who are in policy planning and law as their major. So that's sort of relevant. The change or to be a change agent, I think getting a policy initiated at the organizational level, that helps a lot. Yeah, great quality of product. We're excited to participate in the partnership. Something to note. So even let's say you were in, so our students, let's say you were in my position working at a company and evaluating, is becoming a member of this green partnership, valuable, right? So there's a cost to doing this. Is there a return, right? And so basically, if we paid $2,500, as long as we get back some kind of amount of value worth equal to $2,500, then it is definitely worth doing, right? And I already, just the amount of networking opportunities that this would open up for a student, even without detailed calculation, it definitely seems like a great investment. So thank you very much for your efforts, leadership at getting this organization off the ground, and having already great partners within your program. And that's it for me. I would like to open up to questions from the floor. Let's see if the sound works fairly well. So Ryan, just try to.
Yeah, I'll speak up. How do you calculate your emissions from electricity use? What kind of assumptions are you using there? Just curious.
And if that wasn't clear on the sound, I could repeat that.
So I think Jana's going to.
Yeah, I think I heard I heard the question. So the emissions from electricity. Okay. So first of all, I didn't mention this, but we do calculate emissions per location. So EPA provides emission factors per different locations in New York State. So in the Excel tool, you can see now Westchester, but in the online tool, we have incorporated other counties in New York State. And there are emission factors per, the EPA provides pounds per megawatt hour. So we had to kind of translate those into kilograms of CO2 emissions. So basically, you just take your consumption in kilowatt hours and you use this emission factor. And you do that for CO2, methane, and nitrous oxide.
Thank you.
I hope that answers your question. So here's the formula. Well, you cannot see my screen anymore, but
you want me to share your screen?
Well, I don't think we have to, but I mean, Jana is available, to get down to that level to help if you do need.
Yeah, but it's just simple. It's simple math. It's just the kilowatt hours times the emission factor, and you get the CO2 emissions.
Good. Yes, so another question here from Noah.
Do you have to be certified for you guys to join with you and if we are trying to implement this on ESF?
Maybe a little louder.
Do we have to be trained through you first before if we wanted to implement this on ESF?
Did you guys hear that question?
No.
Do we have to?
No, can you repeat that?
So the question is from a student, do we have to be trained through you, Green Business Partnership, in order to get, let's say, ESF certified? Is that yes? Yes, so we are going to, I think that, your green team, that any of your students who are on your green team will have access to your dashboard. And that, you guys can go through it, and then we can schedule a call and do a direct, online training for your green team if that's what you need. But yeah, I think it makes the most sense, and that's part of the value of working with us is that we are happy to train you directly and also just answer questions along the way.
Thank you.
Ryan, another question? Yep.
Are you So how are you guys promoting, let's say, on-site renewable energy or renewable energy investment by businesses?
So the question is, how through this process are you promoting the use of renewable energy on site or off site?
So basically what happens is that, okay, so you mentioned, so the program is based on 7 categories and it goes through policy, action, and performance. So the action list which is extensive, there are over 200 actions. So let's say for energy, you guys will go through the whole action list and there will be actions that are suggested or required based on, renewable energy, on-site energy. But we do not require any company or university to go out and spend money. But you will, by going through the action list, see what is available. You'll understand why these things are important, and you are required to get an energy audit, for example. So the college will go through the energy auditing process, and we also will help you identify funding and incentives that are out there, through New York State or through your utilities, to switch over to renewable energy options. So, so basically the action part is you kind of learning what's available, finding out what money is out there to help make those things happen. And so that's sort of how we are influencing, an organization's knowledge about, switching over to renewable energy or on-site energy generation.
And just to add to that, we see this program to be really an educational program. And because the company has to then at the end create a final presentation, we share those with all the members, and we hope that some members that already have solar panels, like Hendrik Hudson Library, will be an inspiration for others and a motivation for those to also go that route. We also do a lot of networking events, and so the library can talk to other people and say how great experience they had with their solar energy, and hopefully others will eventually go that route too.
Great, thank you. I happen to have a question. I noticed one of your key partners is NYSERDA, with one of, I guess, your original large grants, 450,000 or something like that.
540.
What? 540. All right. So what is NYSERDA's ongoing role? How do they help you directly and help the, I guess, the partnership, the network?
So basically what we had to do, and Yana, Scott, and I can speak to the fun and pain of going through that process, but we had to put together a very large grant, and we applied to the CFA, Consolidated Funding Authority, I believe it stands for. And so we basically laid out our whole program, and we laid out all of the promised deliverables, which includes the building of this web platform, which includes all the events that we do and the educational opportunities that we create. So we basically said to NYSERDA, this is our program, and we would like you to support us. So we now have a contract with NYSERDA, and we send them reports on a regular basis outlining, what we have accomplished as per the contract. So that contract ends in June of 2019. So they're not really doing anything in particular, except for the fact that they have provided us with the funding to accomplish what we said that we would accomplish through the program.
Great, thank you.
And one quick thing I want to mention is Purchase College is certified through our program, and so we'd love to partner up some of our members in the same areas, and I am certain that they would be delighted to share what they know with you. Ethan, who's one of our Green Business Associates, just sat down with them to update their greenhouse gas emission inventory tool. They've got several years in the system, and they're going to be onboarding the rest. You know, they're dealing with refrigerants, which you will deal with on a large level on a college campus. You know, so there will be things that are unique to, you know, getting a college certified. So that will definitely be one of our goals, is to match you guys up.
Great. Yes, I know Tom Kelly through the SUNY Sustainability Coalition Network.
Great.
I have plenty more questions, but on the floor here.
Are there any more sustainability metrics that they're developing, or some that are in the works?
So Ryan is asking, are there any more sustainability metrics in development or in the works?
Yana?
Ryan is a grad student, by the way, probably looking for ideas for projects.
So we feel like this already includes everything that a typical company would have, except those electric vehicles that I said we want to add to the tool.
Ryan, are there any that you're thinking about that we're missing?
I could think of a few, maybe, but yeah, we could,
like what?
So well, go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead.
Well, just like so it seems like water is a challenge, right? Just the way the emissions factors are not.
Yeah, so those emission factors just don't exist.
Right, and so let's say one strategy, if we were intelligent and an institution of higher education, we could target our municipal water filtration. It's not really a company, but it's, you know, owned by the county. So we could target that institution, and approach them, have them become a member of the Green Building Partnership. If they already have had an energy audit done, you know, so by them going through the process and them doing a greenhouse gas inventory. So basically, water, in our case, we'd be a consumer of water, right? So we're getting the water through the pipes, through the public infrastructure. That for us would fall under scope 3 emissions, right? But if you
Correct.
are the water filtration plant, your emissions are scope 1 and 2. And so you could get so that would be a way to and once we initiate that process, then other businesses in our region could use the data we gathered to then have a very localized, you know, emissions factor for water for the county of Onondaga, with other losses in, you know, the water distribution system. And so that just came to mind. I think, again, if we were smart, we would do that. And so we will probably go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I had maybe one last question. So the final output is preparing a PowerPoint presentation, right? So the Google Docs based.
You could do that. It's really up to you. You could also do a video. I mean, we really don't tell you exactly what you need to do. I mean, Greenberg Nature Center did a fabulous video, which you can see on their website. So, but you know, it's something that we can share with the rest of the world to show them, you know, all the great work that you accomplished.
Great. I was just gonna say, we have some video making talent in the room, and also a video storytelling class that we offer on campus. So I was already thinking that we will probably be doing a combination of PowerPoint and video presentation.
We love that. We want you to surprise us.
Cool. Surprise. Okay, we have a few sort of class logistics. assignments, next steps and whatnot to go through. But I think, whoops, and my timer has gone on.
Okay.
So I think we would be done for the video conference. So I would very much like to thank you all, and maybe we can.
Thank you guys. This was fun.
Good. We just became members. So ESF just became a member on Tuesday. I think so. We finalized the process. So it's all new to us on this end, but again, the value proposition is very clear, I think. So
Excellent.
yes, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And you guys, you know where to find us if you need us for anything.
Wonderful.
All right.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye, guys.